Those who forsake the law praise the wicked. Those who uphold the law resist them. Welcome to the Voice of Resistance.
Hi, friends. Welcome to the broadcast. I'm a music fan. Eric Clapton is a great and legendary guitar player. Well, the Daily Mail, which is a fairly big newspaper, I'm going to read it to you because Clapton really goes on a tirade. Eric Clapton has hit out at the propaganda over vaccine safety, claiming he suffered alarming side effects after his COVID jabs. The legendary guitarist, a lockdown skeptic, said his hands and feet became useless, prompting fears he would never play again. He's 76 years old, by the way, and he said, "My hands and feet were either frozen, numb, or burning, and pretty much useless for 2 weeks. I feared I would never play again. I should never have gone near the needle. But the propaganda said the vaccine was safe for everyone." The musician, who has emphysema, ended his email to Italian music mogul Robin Manati, saying, "I've been a rebel all my life against tyranny and arrogant authority, which is what we have now." Now, he and Van Morrison recently released a song called "Stand and Deliver," which it was fun. It's just a 12-bar blues. It was a little bit on the shallow side, but it was basically saying, hey, are you going to stand and do what's right, or are you going to just cower in fear and be a slave? What good is the Magna Carta? What good is the Constitution if you're just going to do what you're told? So I have to be careful. I discussed COVID once before in detail on this program, and YouTube gave me an irrevocable strike. 2 more, and my program and all of my content goes off of YouTube, which would be a slight inconvenience, I promise you. So all I'm doing is reporting the news for you YouTube monitors out there. And obviously some of these companies are acknowledging now that there are side effects. There's a lot of data out there on it. And if it's something that is of concern to you, I urge you to look into it. I have been amused and maybe a little confused by the CDC and by President Biden. 1 minute, we've got to remain vigilant. We can't take our foot off the gas. And then masks are no longer necessary. And then, we'll leave it up to local jurisdictions and we'll leave it up to local businesses. So now it's all over the map. Now it's like going to crazy town. So our state in our county where we live has officially lifted the mask requirement. All right. But some stores, you go into one store and it says no mask required. Go into the next store, mask required. One of the major airlines just said that it was requiring any new employees that they come in with a certification for vaccination. Now, of course, the idea of mandatory vaccinations is repugnant to most people, but people who like government control, like people being told what to do, who enjoy the herd concept, there's people that are pushing for it, or just basically saying we could make your life so miserable that you want to get the vaccine. You won't be able to travel out of the country. You won't be able to travel to certain areas. You won't be able to do business in certain places. So this is, of course, giving rise to, it's the mark of the beast. They're going to come up with some kind of a imprint on your skin that says you've had the vaccine, and this is the legendary Book of Revelations mark of the beast. I think I can say pretty safely that a mandatory vaccine for COVID is not the mark of the beast, okay? So, you know what I think I'm going to do? I think on my next program, I'm going to take a long, hard look at end time stuff and how people get sucked into it by the latest conspiracy theory or evil thing that's going on in the world, and then jam it into an end time scenario. I want to make an offer to you right now. One of the ways that we can not be distracted by fanciful interpretations of end times scenarios is to focus on our duty. I am an author, as you might know. I've got 7 or 8 books in print, and I've decided to do something crazy. 1-877-851-WORD. Put the number up on the screen. You can call that number, and for a gift of any size, even if it's $1, actually, I'll tell them you don't even have to give anything. You can do it for free. Yes, you heard me right, for free. So you can contact that phone number and say, I would like Randall's 5 books. And we will send you the 5 books that you see on the screen, our gift. No strings attached. We will not, I repeat, we will not sell or rent your name and your address. And I'm not looking for any financial information from you. So take advantage of this. You can call that number and get these 5 books for free. And these books are written to help you to be a member of the church militant. You already are a member of the church militant, but these books are written to help you behave that way. Let me take a quick break. I'll be right back. Hi, friend. Welcome back to the program. This is an interesting story. Before the pandemic, 5.4% of America's children were homeschooled, 1 in 20. Now that number has grown steadily over the years, and for a long time, homeschoolers were the butt of jokes, and in the early days, you had to scratch around looking for curriculum. Now there is so many great books, tapes, videos, ways that you can do cooperatives together. It's a flourishing source of education. Well, the pandemic did something for the homeschool movement. According to government statistics, the number of kids being homeschooled more than doubled since the beginning of the pandemic. 5.4% of households reported homeschooling before the pandemic, and then it jumped to 11.1%. Now listen to this story. This is cool. Many families have not been satisfied with what their child's school has offered them during the pandemic, said Michael McShane. I think lots and lots of families are looking for other options. As parents and students were forced home due to the pandemic, parents had opportunity to help their children learn from home during a time of uncertainty in academia. So parents, quote, so parents are finding out we do not need a government teaching license to be effective teachers. We do not need $12,000 of our neighbor's tax money for our children to learn. We do not need the professor-created curriculum. We do not need our children to be around 27 peers for 6 hours a day to be well socialized. We could have more family time. We could have more flexible schedule. We do not have to live at the whim of the institutional school and its schedule. So this is fun to me. Let me put in a plug. For those of you who don't know, we homeschool. And our curriculum is very intense. So our high schoolers are reading Homer, all right? Thucydides, the Iliad and the Odyssey, the history of the Peloponnesian Wars. They're studying math. They're studying science. They just did a forensic science class regarding solving a murder. And some of these are things that they do with books. Some of them, a few of them are online, and some of them are in the presence of tutors, cooperatives. It's really amazing what you can do to give your child a great education. And guess what they're not getting? They're not getting drugs being offered to them. unless it's an older brother, older sister picking on a younger brother or sister, they're usually not being bullied. They don't have kids wantonly showing them pornography or asking them to take selfies without their clothes on. Or I mean, these things can go on now in the digital age, but the truth of the matter is that the argument about having children that are well socialized, what does it mean to be well socialized? Does it mean you stick a child whose predisposition is to be a child, and that by definition means a moron? You know what I'm talking about. You stick your moron in the room with 26 other morons, and you expect wisdom to come out of that? Really? The Bible says, he who walks with wise men shall be wise. The companion of fools will be destroyed. And there's a lot of good kids who ended up having their lives shipwrecked because they were in a public school setting or a public college setting where, they rate these party schools now. So if the goal is having a good education, you can get a way better education with various curriculum that are homeschooled. And if the goal is socialization, well, if you want your children to learn how to be adults, here's an idea. It's kind of crazy. Have them hang out more with adults. If you want to learn how to be a good, proper, balanced, compassionate adult, don't stick your kid in Lord of the Flies. I've got to take a break. It is one of the few small positive outflows of the pandemic, that the number of homeschooling families has more than doubled. Kudos to all of you moms and dads and grandmas and grandpas that are doing it. And I, again, want to offer you, whether you're a homeschooler or not, call the number on your screen, and you can have all 5 books of mine written by me for free. No postage, no handling, no requirement to give a credit card, nothing. Randall, how can you do this? I've got the books. They're bought and paid for. And I know from testimonies people have shared with me that the material in these books has changed people, made them stronger. And if I can help in an itty-bitty way by getting these books into the hands of men and women, or you could give them to your church library. All right? There's no gimmick, no catch. Call the number, and we will send you these books for free. I'll be right back. The fighting continues with Israel and Hamas, and let's make no bones about it, it's a lopsided fight. Hundreds are dead. Israel has said it is going to continue to do what it needs to do. It has destroyed hundreds of kilometers of underground passages. Part of what these terrorist networks do is they literally put people underground, and then they dig and dig and dig, and they have places where they can go underground and then come up in Israel and then be inside of Israel to launch terrorist attacks. Israel has a right to exist. Hamas says that it is the will of Allah, the name for God in Islam. It is the will of Allah that Israel be wiped out. And they are committed to wiping Israel off the face of the earth. So Israel's tried to do the right thing, to allow some self-autonomy, etc., etc. And people do have a right. At one level, we do have a right to self-autonomy. We don't have the right, if under our self-autonomy we want to make slaves of someone, okay? We don't have the right to kill people, okay? So please understand why I'm saying that there are certain qualifiers. But the fighting continues. And it's going to continue until Israel believes that it has reached its objectives. And as of the last count that I heard, 9 key terrorist leaders are dead. We don't know how many smaller ones are dead, but they're cleaning house. They're cleaning house. Of course, people are saying that Bibi Netanyahu has found a lifeline in this because he's barely been able to hold on to power. But when Israel is fighting for its life or fighting against this new wave of rockets and terror that is happening, the nation of Israel tends to band together behind their leader. Friend, I'm going to say this, then I'm going to take a break. Please, I promise you, in my next show, I will look at end times ideas. Please don't view what's happening with Israel and with the Palestinians or with Syria. Please don't look at it through an end times grid in the sense of it's a sign of Jesus' second coming. Please don't. And the reason I say that is the Bible says, Jesus said, it is not for you to know times and seasons. No man knows the day or the hour. Again and again, Paul wrote it. Jesus said it in the Gospel of Matthew. He said it in the Gospel of Mark. He is quoted as saying it in the book of Acts. And I fear for the Christian community in America because we get so distracted by some of this stuff that it makes us unable to do our duty that's in front of us, to stand, preach the truth, preach justice. Again, call the phone number on the screen. Get my 5 books that you see there for free. No strings attached. Don't have to give us your credit card. Nothing. Call, get the books. Well, Randall, why would I do that? Because you want to read good books that'll help you to be a more effective Christian. Just a thought. I'll be right back.